Are you saying you faked with me?
Yeah.
I just had sex, and it felt so good.
Wrong. Now you're single.
What do you know about sexual relations?
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
You're listening to the Come With Us podcast, presented by Darling Way, talking the good, the kinky, and the ugly. Here are your hosts, Beth, Aaron, and Tina.
Hello, my darling friends. So glad you're here with us for Come With Us podcast today. We're going to talk about what happens when sexy isn't as satisfying as you'd like. In fact, maybe one or both of you has to finish yourself off. This is the shit that happens. This is reality, and this is why we're here. This is the naughty, fun, sexy education we all wish we'd had years ago. I'm Beth, your sexy genius, and I'm here with Aaron and Tina, and we are going to dive into all things love, sex, and relationships. So, heads up. There's no telling where our conversations will go or how messy they'll get, but hey, that should be the best kind of sexy fun. All right, y'all, how are you today? Are you ready to talk about unsatisfying sexy?
I mean, we could talk about it. I don't know how much...
Aaron doesn't have unsatisfying sex.
I mean...
It's always satisfying for him.
Ooh,
I mean,
like
it's easier
that.
for me. Number one. Number two,
That's
we've
such a
gone this
dude
before.
thing to
Well,
say.
I've been with one partner. I've never, if I had probably had a girl, in my past that, humped like a tree, then yeah. Or like a dead fish, maybe. But luckily for me, the first and only woman I've had sex with, they worked really well.
So you've always been satisfied with the sex?
Yeah.
Do you think Danielle has? Your wife?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
There's times where, we'll go into this study and explain more of it, but there's times where, it ends as she's building up to the big orgasm. Because, we said before that usually a good sexual, and I guess encounter sounds too weird because it's my
good,
fucking
sexy,
wife.
fun session.
Yeah, will result in hopefully at least 2 to 4 orgasms for her. But usually there's that really big one towards the end that most times she gets there without a problem. But there's every now and then just, things go awry.
Okay, have you ever asked her if she plays with herself afterwards?
I've watched her do it afterwards.
Oh, okay. So it's not a big secret.
No.
Oh, I like that. All right.
I've helped her afterwards.
That's a good man. I like that. All right, Tina, I think you and I have definitely had unsatisfying sexy fun.
Sure, yeah. I would say,
Yeah.
well, not a lot, hopefully, but yeah, a few times.
And do you finish yourself off sometimes afterwards?
No, depending on who the person is, probably not. I'll wait till the next day.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Out of respect for their ego.
Ooh, that's awfully nice of you, actually.
know.
So, all right. Well, Aaron, tell us about this article. I appreciate that you found us, and there's some interesting statistics in there. We love some statistics.
Yeah, a new study asked 2,000 sexually active Americans how much they, masturbation plays into their sex life, and 3 in 5 of them said they've never experienced an orgasm with their partner. Now,
see, that's what tells me that they're talking to women. They don't specify in this how many men and how many women. They just say 2,000 Americans. And I appreciate that they're trying to be, quote, gender blind, but I don't know that 3 out of 5?
Yeah.
I don't know 3 out of 5 men that have not had orgasms with a partner. That just, all
I
right.
don't know 1 out of 5 guys that would stick around and have a partner if they're not going to.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's just assume they're talking to a lot of women. So,
Yeah.
Okay. And this was done by a manufacturer of vibrators and things like that. And so their clients are generally women too. So,
yeah. But of all of that, 70% say that they end up, after having sex with their partner, have to sit there and finish themselves off because their partner didn't get them to that finish line that everybody is always, I guess, chasing after. So 70% of these, what we're going to say is probably women surveyed, have to,
help themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. DIY.
Yeah.
DIY. Yeah. It's interesting. There was a woman named Betty Dodson who died this year at the age, I think, of like 92 or something. She was actually the first woman who spoke openly about women's orgasm. And this was back in the 70s, and how women's orgasm was never talked about and it was never acknowledged. And she was the one going, no, no, no. And she wrote books, and it was all about solo sex. And she, at the age of 90, I did a workshop with her, and she told me that she thought sex with a partner was basically a great warm-up for masturbation. That's all it was. Sex was the warm-up, masturbation was the grand show. And this was after a lot of years of fucking a lot of different people and stuff. It was amazing. And I thought sad.
That's sad.
It is sad, but she was right. Like, that's, and this study bears it out, that even today, when people do talk about orgasm, we've got, what does it say? 60% of people polled would rather masturbate than have sex with a partner.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, because this is again done by a little bit of a like. There's an agenda with the people who did this study,
right? And that's why we're not trying to give a shout out, because I totally agree. I think this is probably not a very scientific based. I'm pretty sure the stats don't add up, but I would say that in any group, right? Even if you went out of your way, the fact that you could find so many people that would rather have sexy on their own, I think it's just sad. Even if that number isn't accurate, because I'm fine. Hell, sexy with yourself should be a joyful, pleasurable, loving experience. I'm all for that. But the same should be true of having a partner. And it should be that you want them both. You don't have to want them all the time the same, but come on, folks. We want people to learn to literally love each other well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess the better question, now that it's no shocker that there are probably more women out there who don't achieve orgasm through sex with their partner and need something more than men.
Yeah, okay.
The real question is why? Like, what is causing the
way
sex
harder for a girl?
Well, no,
to
not
have
even
an
that.
orgasm?
But like, what is causing the sex to not be as enjoyable for her? Is it
that's a good question.
Is it a communication part on her part, on his part?
Oh.
Like, who? It's probably a combination of a lot of things. But why is it? Is it maybe because she doesn't know exactly what gets her off? Because, like, if I ask you, hey, you have, let's say we're living in Westworld, and you have a robot that you get to fuck. You know exactly what to tell that robot to do to get you off, correct? Immediately.
Well, yeah. I haven't seen Westworld.
You know,
I don't know what that means.
Okay. Giant animatronic robots look like real people that you can fuck.
Okay.
That would just do everything you want,
Yes.
as opposed to having their own needs and desires and wants.
If I give you an animatronic man, looks, feels real, everything, you can tell
I'm seeing
him.
you ride at Disney World, but that's just me.
I mean, we can open up our own theme park.
Yeah.
But if I gave you that, if I gave you a guy basically with no brain who just follows commands like a puppy,
Please.
you could get yourself off. You can have him get you off within, what, 12 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or less.
But you know.
That's high because he doesn't answer.
Yeah, but you know.
But how many times would that satisfy you?
No.
Because after a week, I would be like, for a week, I'd be like, oh,
but
this is cool and
this
fun.
is where I'm going with this analogy, though. Nina has explored herself and her sexuality and stuff enough that she knows what gets her there. Is it maybe some of these women have never actually, either tried something with their partner or never actually dug down deep and figured out, well, what gets me to that finish line? Because obviously they're doing it after, but why not during? Like, what has never occurred to you that say, hey, babe, why don't you pinch my nipples or do something like that? That's because if you're not trying new things, that if you're not getting to the destination, if you're not getting that orgasm, but you're also not telling your partner and trying to get them to help you get there while you're together, why are you with them?
Well, okay. So, and I would say one very interesting thing in a different article that we read was that women, after they get married, oftentimes women lose their basically libido, their lust for their partner within a year of that marriage. That is a really telling and scary and shameful kind of fact. I think we have to keep that in mind, because you're right. If we were just talking about why don't women orgasm from penis and vagina penetration, well, we'd say, okay, that's just because
that's
the
more
anatomy.
difficult.
That's just because it's not hitting the right spot. great. But now we're not saying that. We're saying this is basically their sexy fun session. So they could be doing oral. They can be using hands. They can be using a vibrator. They can be using all sorts of things. And yet they're not getting the women to satisfaction. That is a problem. So then you're right. It's not just that they're not saying, but yeah, why aren't they? Why are they so removed? And this is where I think that so often the first few years of marriage, I think they cover this stuff up because maybe they're trying to have kids and stuff like that, or maybe they then get a kid and then they blame it on the kid. But that's a great excuse for why you're not turned on and why you don't have any desire. But I think the really big question, and you know me, I think my kids tell me all the time, you're always looking for psychological reasons, but it's because it's pretty much behind everything. So what does sexy actually mean to people? Right? So when people have sexy, why do they have sexy?
I mean, I can tell you why I do it because
why?
Because it's fun, it feels good, it brings me closer to my partner. I mean, I feel a better connection with my wife, especially not only during but afterwards. For several hours, we have open like PDA and stuff like that. We're very affectionate towards each other to begin with, but then like that post-sex couple hours we're around each other, we're even more handsy and more like, I guess, close.
Connected.
Yes.
Yeah. So typically I think that's true. For men, having sexy fun, penetration, and etc., orgasm, makes them feel much more intimate and connected and close to a woman.
Yes.
And Tina, you're a little bit unusual, but why do you think your friends, female friends, have sex?
Because it feels good. One, I would say.
Do you think it's the?
I would say that also it's like a matter of like, it's kind of what you're supposed to do. I actually had this conversation with someone the other day. Like, I certainly know a few people who just like girls who don't orgasm, like that, or they just have like
over 18. We're always talking women over 18.
Women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always talking about women over 18. So when I say girls, like, but
they don't orgasm with a partner.
Yeah, they don't orgasm with a partner, but they still like having sex.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure why they like having sex. Like, I think it's like, again, it's like one of these things where you are like, I don't know, I guess it's like what you're expected to do. And this, maybe not in this, like in this day and age. Well, yeah.
So what do you
think? As like a young woman who's like sexually active.
Okay. So there's this saying, do you think it's true or not true? That women have sex to get love. Men give love to have sex.
No, I think that's not. I don't.
Do you think women? That. So I think there's still this idea that a lot of us women grow up with, that somehow or another, sexy is not necessarily just about our orgasm, but it's this emotional thing. It's this idea that somebody really loves us, if they chase us, if they seduce us, that we're wanted. And I think it's the emotional part that matters a lot to us. And I think for you, Erin, I think the physical can come first, and then you feel all these, like this enormous flow of emotion. Not that you don't love your wife before you have sex. It's just that you are so much more in tune with it after.
Yeah.
And women, I think it's the other way around. When we are feeling all of those feelings and all those emotions, then we're more interested in having sexy and connecting that way. And I think that after we get married, we kind of stop, because men kind of think that, okay, we've already proven we're already connected, we're married, and therefore she already knows how much I love her, so let's now just get to the sex. And women are like, no, I want you to still prove it. I want you to show me. I want to be seduced. I want to be romanced. And we don't just mean flowers. We don't mean just check the boxes. It means we want some excitement, for damn sake. We want to feel lusty. We want to feel lust-worthy, I think. We want more than just a physical, okay, get ready now. Does that make sense? Do most of your friends actually, does that resonate with you at all, Tina?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty like psychologically, I haven't thought about that on that kind of level, but I do think that like especially girls, like they may feel that they are gaining like more affection from someone if they have sex with them like on a regular basis, even if they don't get off. And that's, again, like I think it goes back to like a fact that like it's kind of what you're supposed to do. I don't want to be like archaic and like they're not just laying there and like.
But have you asked them like why they don't get off while they're having sex?
Well, yeah, I think that some just can't. Like some, some like it's just like, yeah. So it's a matter of like not being like communicative enough or not wanting to be like more open in your sex life with other people. But I mean, there's lots of reasons why girls don't get off that I can't.
So I argue women who can basically get to orgasm by themselves but don't with a partner, I think it's because for orgasm to happen, particularly for women, there is a whole combination that has to happen between your head, your heart, and your body. They all have to be aligned. They all have to be going, yes, right? I'm doing this. I want to do this. This is awesome. No regrets, no guilt, no shame, blame, obligation. It has to be orgasm is losing yourself in the moment. Really.
Obligation, I would say, is like a big one. That's what I'm trying to get at. Obligation. I feel like girls feel like they're obligated to like, not in like a pressured kind of way, but more in like a societal. Because I do think America is generally like a very, I mean, I've lived in lots of places, like a pretty sexually open place, especially like as a young, like more and more these days as like a young woman. Like people own their sexuality, I think more.
I would say it's emphasized, but we don't teach people how to actually enjoy it fully.
Okay, fine, for sure. But so that probably goes towards the problem in and of itself. Like it's emphasized, but you don't exactly know how to like do it the correct way.
Right, or you're worried about asking for something because it may or may not be what the other partner wants, or you're embarrassed, and there's all these reasons we hold back. But I think that if we're talking about within relationships, I think women just don't get turned on enough. I think it's very, very simple in a relationship. They don't get turned on enough.
Not wanting to, being embarrassed and stuff like that. If it's like a fling, if it's somebody you're building a relationship with, which maybe you're at the point where you haven't thought long term, but you still want to be around that person longer than 3 or 4 hookups, that's fucking selfish of you not to tell them.
Well, okay, but let's not.
And it's immature to not communicate.
Oh, Aaron, I love you so much, but maybe we don't have to be so judgmental. Maybe we can say it's not helpful, which is true. But I don't believe that people are doing this really deliberately to be assholes, to be selfish, and to be immature. It's just that we don't know how to do it. So without judging, let's just think about where we are. And I will tell you, look, I'm my mid-50s. I talk about sexy for a living. If you think I don't have sexy hang-ups in the bedroom, you'd be so crazy. And I try really freaking hard, but it is hard for me to admit what I want, to ask for what I want, and to be comfortable and not be terrified that somebody's going to find me, annoying or selfish or, this or ugly or anything weird, creepy. It's not, I don't know, all of those things.
But if you have those hangups, like I said, that's one thing. If it's something, not a relationship type thing, if it's somebody that you are far along enough in your courtship, relationship, friendship, whatever, that you don't trust them enough, then why you shouldn't be getting into bed with them anyways.
Well, but maybe it's not that we don't trust them enough. It's that we actually doubt ourselves so much. And I will say, sometimes it's this idea that, okay, we're trying to make do. We're trying to be happy with what there is. So it would be the same thing if you were in a new relationship or even an old relationship and somebody was trying to cook for you and they were an okay cook, but it wasn't great. So you would try to eat it and you would try to just encourage them nicely and you would keep hoping that things were going to change.
I just wouldn't let them cook for me anymore.
And they'd be like, oh, so this person should be like, I don't want to have sexy with you anymore?
Well, I mean, if you're in a relationship and you're not getting the sexual chemistry you want and you're too afraid to tell them, you shouldn't be in that relationship.
Okay, I think that's in almost all relationships, I will tell you. Like, truly, it is just very hard. So I think the problem is that we have to give people actually more confidence to recognize that they're not alone. This problem is not unique, right? The numbers we're talking, even if this is not a very good scientific study, the fact is the numbers are so shocking that even if they're half that, it's ridiculous. And I know from my experience, coaching couples who have been together for years. 25% of marriages are sexless, right? 1 in 4 marriages, and that's of any duration, are sexless. So this is not just a small little problem. This is a big issue that is too widespread to be somebody just being selfish or immature. It is absolutely that we freaking don't know what to do or how to help people, and they don't know. So I think saying you're with the wrong person isn't right, but clearly I would say what we need to do is then help people figure out. So how do you start bringing this up? And I would say, if we want to assume for the moment that a lot of it is women who have lost the libido, who are not orgasming from sexy, then men, and I think a lot of our listeners are men, so I'm talking to y'all, and I'm saying this in the nicest, kindest, most loving way. Can you please start the conversation? Can you create a safe space for your partner to start talking?
I mean, yeah, I don't want women to think that I'm just sitting here bashing them 100%. That's where I was going to go with the second half of this, is that, guys, like, if she's not getting there during sex and you haven't asked, you're an asshole.
Okay.
Like, seriously,
Aaron
it's
is
just as
equal
bad.
opportunity judgmental. I will tell you that.
110%.
But I never want to judge, and I think, anyway, back it up.
But judgment is the history of the world, and that's every human.
That's why everything's so
human in this
fucked
world.
up.
No,
so maybe let's
judgmental
stop.
is what keeps you surviving in this world.
No.
Yes, it is.
No, it keeps us miserable.
No,
Look
that
what's
is animal
happening.
instincts.
No. Anyway. All right, we can go talk about this. But let's just say, men, I think people need to be talking, even if you think that she's getting off all the time. Okay, whether or not you know what's happening or not, I think every couple should be having a State of the Union at least once a year. Literally, a State of the Union. State of the fuck. You know, what the fuck is going on once a year on your anniversary? Have a review.
Yeah.
And at that point, start talking about, okay, what do you like? How often do you? Maybe there really needs to be a question. After our sexy fun sessions, are you actually satisfied, or does it leave you actually wanting more? That's a bold question. And then you should be able to tell if your partner is fudging that a little bit or hemming and hawing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's going both ways. Guys, you should be, one, communicating with her and making sure that no matter how many times you think she's come or how great she did when you first got together, whatever, you should always still, not sounding, because we've preached this, or you two have preached this before, don't sound self-conscious about it, but put it out there of making sure that you're doing everything you can to help her orgasm without being the timid, I guess, how do we phrase it? Basically,
insecure.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But you've got to find a way to ask her. But at the same time, women, you've got to communicate with your guy. And if he's not getting you there and he hasn't asked, you also need to be bold enough to say, listen,
yes,
how about we try this? And you don't have to say, listen, you don't last long enough for me to orgasm. Or, listen, your dick in my pussy doesn't just get me there. You don't have to be blunt about that, but you need to be blunt enough to go, how about we try this? How about we do this?
And here's the simple thing. How about just saying, you know what? First of all, if you've been doing the same thing over and over for more than 3 months, you need to shake it up. Both of you. If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, it's like cooking one meal. Even if you cook that one meal really well, it's going to get tiresome. So if that's what you're doing, or you only have 3 or 4 tricks and you've been doing these for however many years and it's predictable, you absolutely need to shake it up, because I promise you that might get you off physically, but that is not going to turn somebody on emotionally or mentally. It's not going to be romantic. So,
I mean, the world's richest people will tell you eat enough lobster in a row, it starts to taste like soap.
Yeah, there you go. And sex, again, that's BMS, boring married sex.
Yeah.
Stop that. That is not satisfying to anybody. So you need to change it up. So instead of just pointing the finger and going, oh, you're not satisfying me or something, again, if you just say, hey, we need to rock the boat. We need some sexy fun. When was the last time we laughed at sexy fun? When was the last time we tried something new? It's been a while. We need to do that. So start changing it up. And that could be almost anything. Doing new places, touching, feeling, groping, anticipation. We've talked about all these different kinds of places and ideas. Help, bring in a new sexy toy or something. Bring in a passion prop. Bring in a feather, bring in ice cubes, a vibrator, pop rocks, anything.
Oh my God, I just heard about the ice cube thing.
What about the ice
someone
cube thing?
where you put an ice cube in your hoo-ha and then have sex. Apparently, it feels amazing. I'm going to try it.
I hadn't heard of that either. I've heard of
so-
different ice cube stuff, but not that.
Yeah,
Okay.
ice cubes in your mouth for a blowjob.
Yeah, well, I've heard of
And
the ice
for
cubes in your mouth
nipples.
and just rubbing it, like putting it in your mouth and then dragging your mouth all over their body.
I'm talking about this
Yeah,
one.
yeah. You can put it in. It's cold. There's all sorts of things. And wasn't it Monica Lewinsky, I think, that did the Altoids in her mouth doing a blowjob? I mean, that can...
To who? I'm kidding.
But
I mean, you were what, 4 at that time?
Well, no, I'm all pro Monica Lewinsky on this show.
Hey,
I think
she's
she's.
Oh, I'm
She
not
was a
saying you're
young
anti.
woman.
I'm
She
just
was
saying
the
you were
original
4 years
kind of-
old when
Yeah.
that happened. I'm surprised that you were.
But heads up, things like that can actually burn. Some men, some cocks are more sensitive. Some women's mouths are more sensitive. But so you have to just be careful. But again, if you try that and your partner's like going, no, ouch, 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 and at least you're laughing. That is something that bonds us. It's amazing. So don't let that be, a horror or something. Make that. It's got to be a good time or a good story or both.
Well, I'm also going to say if your partner is screaming ow, 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 or no, or using like your
Yes.
code words red or blue,
yeah.
that's not the time to laugh at them and go, that's funny. No, fix the problem. And then maybe an hour later after it's all said and done, look at it and go, okay, that was kind of funny.
Oh, maybe.
Don't laugh at them right in the moment when like you're literally on her hair and she's like screaming, or you use a warming lube that burns.
Oh, yeah.
Or something like that.
Well, again, when I have a really good orgasm, I laugh like crazy, and I keep forgetting to tell partners about that, and then they
I'm
get
gonna
a
write it
little
down on
bit
your hand in
stunned.
permanent
I know.
ink. We're
It
gonna
has
get
to go
this
in my
tattooed on
user
you.
manual. Yeah, I need it. It's part of my user manual. Oh, we should talk about user manual sometime because that's a great topic.
Actually,
Everybody
you
should
know
do
what
it.
we're gonna do? We're gonna
Yeah.
get it tattooed on your inner thigh, right near
Oh my God,
your
that'd
vagina.
be so funny.
So that it just caution, laughter, spontaneous laughter ahead.
Oh my gosh, that would be great.
That
All right.
That's actually
I've-
a really cute tattoo.
That's a very cute tattoo. Yes. All right. So it's true. So, but yeah. So talk about it and start learning, and then again, start thinking seduction. I don't know why people think they get married and they literally forget the word seduction. Do you seduce your wife?
I mean, I try to, yeah.
Good. How do you seduce her?
Depending on what is going on, just massaging her shoulders, rubbing her back, giving her a foot massage while we're just sitting there watching TV. It just depends on it depends on the setting, what's going on.
Okay, so those are physical seductions.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. What about how do you mentally or emotionally? Let's realize, again, I said you've got to have your head, your heart, and your body. Head, heart, and hot pocket all in alignment.
How
do you
think
seduce
of the last?
Tina, how does your brain Tina's brain get seduced by sports?
But I am actually, because I'm like very, what's the right word? Horny.
Yes.
Like I have a pretty big.
You have a high libido.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
So I do a lot of like seducing. I think it's just generally being like open. I often sometimes think that like guys sometimes don't like, they feel like they don't want to pressure you, so then like if they like don't want to ask too much, stuff like that, where so it's easier for sometimes, like I just think it's easier for me to just say what I want. But again, like I generally, and obviously this isn't like normal, but like, or I don't know if it is normal, but like in a relationship, like I'll have sex once a day usually. And I know that like that may be too much for some people.
So you don't need an emotional or physical or mental turn on, really. For you, it's very much just kind of physical.
But a lot of people do. Like a
Yeah.
lot. I get that. And sex, I think, is very different. Like when you're connected to someone emotionally, than if you're just like having sex. But it's different.
And it's funny because I've said this before. People in relationships, I think there's a very weird and dysfunctional sort of pattern that erupts, which is that women, we actually want someone to love us so much that they will literally love us even if they're not having sex with us. Because there's so many women who just are like, oh, I just feel like a hole, or he just wants to fuck anybody and I just happen to be here. So we think if they stick with us when they're not having sex, for some reason that gives us a better sense, which is really bad.
So
Which is kind of funny because from a guy's perspective, if you're not having sex with him, that's when he starts thinking, I'm just going to fuck everything that moves.
I know. It's a really dysfunctional
Not from
pattern.
I mean, obviously, I've only had one sexual partner. It's not my talking personal, but guys I know, friends of mine, that's where relationships go awry, and not married relationships, but long-term relationships go awry is when she thinks, yeah, I've got him locked down, we don't need to have sex, and then he goes, well, if you're not going to do it, there's somebody else out there who will. See ya.
Yeah, but if they're married and they've got kids, then he starts getting shamed for being, quote, selfish and wanting sex. And she's like, oh, we've got all this other stuff going and we're so tired and you're never home and all of this stuff. And it's just hard. And then I think they get more and more polarized. I think once sexy becomes a little bit of an issue, it is very easy for it to grow. And really, there will be several years that will go by. The couples will not have really good or regular sexy
Well, you
fun.
get into a sexual stalemate.
Yes.
Where, even looking in the mirror, the guy will go, yeah, I could buy her flowers, or I could, get a sitter and take her out, wine a diner, and get a hotel room and make it all fancy. But, I mean, I've been trying for a while, and maybe I haven't tried that long Hail Mary to make it happen, but everything else I've tried hasn't resulted in it. Fuck it. Fuck her. I don't care.
Right.
You get...
Yeah, who's going to give in?
You get in your emotions about, and your pride gets hurt that, well, I've tried this many times, and she keeps saying no, so you know what? Fuck trying anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
rejection.
There's a certain... I can see both sides of it. Some, like, when you're having sex, of course, you hear that, you're like, oh, well, that's immature. But there have been dry spells that my wife and I had where there were times where I was like, I'm not fucking trying. I'm tired of getting turned down.
You're not trying to fuck, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it happens, but then once everything picks back up, you look back and you're like, oh, that was all it took? Like, it was just a timing thing? What the fuck? Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. It's hard to remember that you're both on the same team.
Yeah.
Because it really does start to feel like there's a winner and a loser. If somebody's right and somebody's wrong. That's where I think that judgmental doesn't help. If you're in a marriage, to me, the commitment has to be, we need to do well, we need to succeed, and each of you pitches in as much as you can. So, and I think that just recognizing a libido and getting a woman turned on, even if she's not turned on and wanting her partner right away, I think it's okay. So, like in my book, Love and Laughter, Sexy, Meaningful Fun for Everyone, we talked before about just how taking a bath can be a very sensual experience for women, but a lot of them don't even tune into that. Eating a piece of chocolate can start getting a woman tuned into her senses and her feelings and start creating some arousal that can then be, once we get that pilot light lit, then we can start learning how to direct it. So that's the first thing I would tell men, is that if you're really feeling a distance and you're thinking, if your woman is telling you, oh, I don't have any libido, I'm just never turned on, I never want sexy, blah, 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 I would say what you could do as her teammate is literally start getting her turned on for anything. That means watching sexy movies, start talking about some hot guy. I don't care who it is, or if it's George Clooney or it's Ben Affleck, or I don't know who, Bradley Cooper.
Affleck.
Sorry, I've been reading about him with J-Lo. I don't know. Sorry, who's the hot guy? Who's a really
now?
Yeah,
like Timothy Chalamet. Like,
No idea who that is.
Me either.
This is how much I pay attention to the world.
Not Michael Jordan.
Oh, I think Michael B. Jordan is
Michael B.
super.
Jordan.
Yeah, he is. Yes,
Who
he is
else?
very
So,
sexy.
like the
So-
hot. I mean,
so whoever it is, but so just again, start getting her into her body and letting her feel that stuff, and then ask her what it is that turns her on about different things. Watch her favorite rom-com and ask what turns her on about that, or if there's some sexy story, and bring these things in and start encouraging her to touch herself and to pleasure herself, and start talking about you pleasuring yourself and what you think about, and do all that without blame, shame, guilt, and obligation, I think. So hell, go to sexyedschool.com and just start watching the blowjob classes or the cunnilingus class, and watch that together. See what happens. At least, again, you could just laugh, but I promise it might start talking. If you start talking about some things, you might realize where it is, what turns her head on, what turns her heart on, and what turns her body on. Head, heart, and hot pocket.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know that flowers do it. Flowers can feel too much like a checklist kind of thing.
Well, what if you group them together? Like, so what if we say maybe a guy's wife doesn't feel like he doesn't know if she's 100% in tune with her body, and she could use your book and maybe give it a read. What if he bought that and flowers and something else and just gave it to her as one big, like, preemptive, sexy gift?
I would think the flowers need to be more, like maybe spreading some flowers around on a bed or something. Maybe putting a bath and putting rose petals in the bathtub would do. But I think after you've been together a while, just a regular bouquet of flowers, unless it's really, if she really has a certain kind of flower that she really loves, or like for me, purple. If you send me purple roses, that means something. It just does. If she's like that, if there's something particular. But otherwise, just a generic flower bouquet, I don't think turns us on. We just kind of, we start thinking, okay, he doesn't know what to do. He's trying, but he doesn't know what to do. So I think making it more directed. So Tina, have you heard or think about what, even if it hasn't been for you, what are some of the greatest ways that you've seen a man seduce a woman?
I think it's a matter of like being specific to the person that you're with. Like you say flowers don't work, and I kind of agree with that, because I think being generic in a relationship or in any certain circumstances, you need to, and the reason that I think it works is because then it shows that you like care about the other person, and like you like actually, I think, the art of seduction, like it's tailored to the person that you're with.
But have you seen, even any of your friends, have you seen them sort of be seduced in a way that was really hot and sexy?
See, and that's where I think like it's again specific to like the person. Like I know I have some friends who like, for example, traveling. So for, like really like to travel with their partner and stuff. So like a great trip would be one thing. And then some girls I know who really like to, like baking and like stuff like that. So if you bake something for, it's like little things, but I don't know. Like I'm not privy to other people's like really kind of like sexual seductions.
This is too bad. This is why we need to talk. Because.
But I mean, she's got a point. I mean, every single person is a different safe that has a different code to crack.
That's right, but people need some ideas. So, and here I want to help our listeners get some ideas.
But again,
so,
it's specific. Like that's
I know
the
it's
more specific
you have to know
that you are to the person, I think the better.
Right, but you still have to have some idea. Like if you've got a list of like 10 kind of ideas, then that might help you go, oh yeah, my partner would like this or this, or oh, that'll help you spin off. But otherwise, it's an abyss. So, like I said, so I don't think the flowers. So, all right, a couple of things. I think that getting in. One of the first things I think that can really work is counterintuitive. I think taking his orgasm, or taking penetration off the table for like 2 weeks by agreement, I think actually can make a big difference. Because suddenly then it's like, I don't drink much alcohol, but when I was pregnant and wasn't supposed to, I wanted alcohol. When you take penetration off the table, it frees us to actually want it, which is interesting, without, the obligation. So men, tell your partners and go say, okay, we're going to have a 2-week challenge. We're going to take penetration off. And now we're going to just sort of, maybe you ask what her favorite romantic or sexy movie is. Maybe it's porn or stories or reading something. And you each get dressed, take care of the kids, get them put aside, get a hotel room if you want to, so that nobody's knocking at the door.
Abandon your children.
Abandon your children, yes, because this is good for your relationship and stuff. And then sort of watch it, but then be touching and teasing and tell her, don't worry about my orgasm. I'm going to take care of my own. And then let her go and see, okay, where do you want me to touch you? What would be exciting? And does she want you to be in charge? Right? Ask about power play, because that's a really quick way. If somebody wants you to be in charge and you're not taking charge, they are not going to be getting turned on fully. That's just a big one. If a woman wants to be in charge and she's not getting to, it's just this sort of cooperative thing, then it's not going to get her off as much. So ask her and then abide by that. And if she's in charge, be like, okay, yes, ma'am, here we go. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to wear, ma'am? What can I do? How can I serve you? How can I please you? And go really wholly into it, even though it feels really awkward and something and silly for a change. And if she wants you to be in charge, you have to step up and do it. And don't be afraid to say, no, get on your knees. Do this. Spread your legs. I want you to take off your underwear. Stand up and take your clothes off, and I want to see you spin. If you're going to be in charge, I know it feels weird, especially if you've known this person for a lot of years. Read about it first. Email us. We'll send you some resources. Listen to our BDSM primer stuff. But recognize that power doesn't have to involve anything impactful, but it does mean taking who's in control. And there are a lot of women who want some, sexy prince to just storm up, grab them, throw them over their shoulder, and drive off into the wind and just do all sorts of naughty, fun, sexy things to them. While they say, oh, no, I'm a good girl. Don't do that. Oh, that feels so good. So ask about power. I think that's probably the biggest one. And because power can lead to a seduction.
Yeah.
Does that?
I mean, yeah. I think all those things sound hot to me, but.
And playing with food can get a bunch of different foods and just, like I said, be like, all right, tonight you're just going to lay down and I'm just going to touch you and tease you and cover you and smother you and with all sorts of fun things and lick everything off you. And when she's not thinking, oh God, he's just doing this so he can fuck me because you've taken fuck off the table, then she's free to be like, oh my God, more, please. And that could be kind of interesting.
But what do you do when you got her worked up and then she begs for it? You still tell her no?
Oh yeah, if you've said no penetration for 2 weeks, you then no, and then you watch her squirm, and you go, yeah, in 14 days, like in 3 days, you're going to be dying and begging me, and I'm going to say no. And next, you're never going to just say no to me again without thinking that this could happen, because it is power. It's not just one person that has the power to say yes or no, and too often that's what we've gotten into is the cycle of one person saying please, can we have sex, and the other one's like, oh God, this is not very fun. Begging, unless you're a control freak. If she's a dominant, then she needs to learn how to enjoy you begging. But otherwise, begging is not usually sexy. It induces pity and obligation. Not sexy.
Yeah, this is a hell of a tangent off of a study about getting off after you're done with your partner.
Yeah, well, but I like that that once you've kind of finished, you can kind of touch and go, okay, any more places that need touching, need attention. That's a really nice, easy way to do it. Do you need to be kissed anyplace else?
Yeah.
Do you need another one? Do you need a little bit more of a release? What's still tingling? That, I think, opens doors in a really easy way. And at least you'll kind of know, oh, no, I'm sort of tired. You'll know there's still something there. Because when a woman is satisfied, what does she say when she's satisfied, Tina?
I've come.
Okay, but if he says, do you need any more? What does she say?
If you're satisfied?
Yeah.
No.
You say no. Or you say, oh God, I'm good. I've had so much. I am so good. I'm happy. I'm smiling. I just need to recover. Right? We say things like that. We don't go, oh no, it's okay. Oh, you've been down there so long.
What?
Right? Those are things we say when we're not satisfied and we don't even know what to ask for because we don't want it out of obligation either. Maybe that's the bad thing, is that a lot of men are willing to they're willing to take or accept obligatory sex. Okay, we haven't done 2 weeks. Let's just do. And they're like, oh, well, this is all I get. So I guess we'll have to do it. But a lot of women are not willing to do that. No, well, we've been at it for 2 hours and you haven't come. I'll just keep going a little bit. No, that's all right. Don't worry. Do you think?
I don't know. I mean, to me, if you're not going to communicate what you need or what you want to your partner, then again, you got to work on some things, because you've got to, like, if he's not getting you there and you're too shy, embarrassed, tired, annoyed to say your tongue, my clit, your hand, my nipple, do all those things at the same time and we'll get there. If you're not going to say that, then again, how great is your relationship? And I'm not saying you have to have, like, great sex automatically means great relationship, but the point of pair bonding and being in a relationship, a committed relationship to somebody, is communication, and that goes to everything. I'm mad because you didn't unload the dishwasher like you said you were going to. Okay. There's no woman in the world who's scared about saying that to her man. Oh, you didn't take out the trash. You said you were supposed to. Now the trash is already gone.
There are women, just FYI. But again.
But women are a lot less shy about going, God damn it, you said you were going to paint you were going to paint that room and you haven't done it. And it's been 2 months.
Right.
Okay.
You're right. We feel,
but
okay.
Women will refuse to go, God damn it, we had sex 3 times last week and I only orgasmed once out of all 3 times, and that's not enough.
Yes, you're so right. And so somehow or another, we don't feel entitled. I don't mean that in a bad way, but we don't feel like...
No, you should be.
Exactly. And we should be entitled.
You should be entitled to having sexy fun with your partner.
Yes.
That's why they're your partner. That's why you chose this person to bond your life to them.
Yes.
And if you are not scared to go, damn, babe, you were shaving and you left hair in the sink and you told me last time you were going to clean the entire bathroom if you did that again and you haven't done it. Okay. But if at the same time you can't go, damn, babe, so I'm glad you orgasm, but I really want you to eat me out. Or I really need you to suck on my nipples while I play with myself. If you're not going to say that.
Or I really need you to be in charge because I do not want to be in charge of our sexy. And I want you to be in charge and tell me what to do. And as part of that, I want you to be in charge of my pleasure just like yours.
Yeah. Communication goes on every single level of the relationship.
FYI, I was married 23 years. I could never, ever, ever say that. Never. I didn't say that. And it's my bad. I get it. And it was the wrong relationship. But I do understand how hard it is. I know, again, I was drunk and separated when I asked him to spank me for the first time. And I was mortified when he didn't know what to do and I didn't know what to do. And I never, 12 more years of marriage, I never asked for anything else. So I do understand how hard it is to ask for things that feel perverse or weird or kinky or not in keeping with what you're taught. You know, I was supposed to be a strong, independent woman, and that did not mean be submissive in the bedroom, but I am.
I mean, I'm not saying that, you know, if you realize that maybe I made a mistake here, maybe I wasn't supposed to be, you know, tied to this person, maybe the satisfaction isn't there, maybe the chemistry isn't there, and I know you've gone through, it's a hard thing. I'm not saying it's ever easy to look at somebody who you've decided that you want to spend the next several years of your life, if not your entire life with, and go, oh shit,
right?
I don't think we can do this. It's a difficult fucking thing. It is the hardest thing in the world because I've watched several people in my life go through divorces and it looks like something I never ever want to contemplate doing.
Even when it's the right thing, it's painful.
Even when it's the right thing, it's the hardest thing in the world to do.
Yes.
And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying this is going to be easy, but if you get to that point where you say you listen to this entire episode, you think on it, you sleep on it, and then you still decide, I don't want to have that kind of communication with my partner, then you really need to look in the mirror and go, maybe it's easier to just cut the ties. And like I said, it's not going to be, but it's not easier. Yeah, right. It's better for me to go find somebody who I do feel comfortable with doing.
And if you don't know how to bring it up with your partner, just maybe suggest that y'all listen to this episode together and to start a conversation for good or for bad. But again, also, if we could just realize that the way that we enjoy sexy and the way that we are seduced and what we want from our sexy fun, if we can figure that out earlier, we might make better choices in picking partners. Because again, that power stuff is key in every relationship, I think. And I think most of us don't begin to understand it. And yet I know, I can't tell you how many of my coaching couple clients, once they realized what they each wanted power-wise in the sexy fun relationship, they started having regular, enjoyable, passionate sexy fun and are so much happier. And then the problems about the trash and the painting the room, those were so easy to deal with when they were having good sexy fun. It's the glue that keeps everything together. It's amazing. It's
amazing how fast a guy will remember, oh yeah, she asked me to do that before I left for work today. Oh, I'll do it real quick. If within the last 2 days, he's had really good sex.
Yeah. And if she
or some
feels
sexual
loved,
release from her.
Right. And if she feels desired and satisfied and important and taken care of, then it works easier that way too, I think so. Yeah. I don't know. Tina's in the midst of having great sexy fun all the time right now with a steady partner. So she's just so blissed out. She can't even imagine having troubles when it comes to sexy. You just ruined half
the audience who was sitting there hoping that she was going to come knocking on their door next.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, it's not always perfect, but, you know, you gotta...
Yeah, you have an easier time. This is what I really appreciate. Tina has an easier time talking about sexy stuff than she does emotional stuff.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. I have an easier time talking about the emotion. Hell, I have an easier time talking about the sexy stuff than actually being in the moment and doing and expressing myself. So we each have our thing. It's the good, the bad, the ugly, the kinky. It just is. But so here's the place.
That's why we're here.
Without the judgment, which is just reactionary stuff. The fact is, we all have our issues, and none of us are immune. We just want to give you some encouragement to speak up, and do not settle for unsatisfying sexy. And if you're not sure, you need to ask. But if you're not sure, my guess is it's because it's unsatisfying and you just haven't wanted to figure it out, because we don't want to see problems if we don't know answers. But there are answers.
Put an ice cube in your vagina. There you go.
Okay, but then you got to let somebody in too. So, and putting, but maybe it'll maybe it'll excite you. Maybe you do it and play with yourself, and then you tell your partner about it. All sorts of things. So, all right, there you go. Ice cubes, they're pretty free and pretty accessible. So, all right, y'all. Well, I think
unless you live in the desert.
Unless you right. Ooh, yeah. Don't play with cactus, by the way. Not that way. So, anyway, all right. Well, I hope this has gotten you inspired, because, damn it, I don't want people having unsatisfying sexy, or at least, if they are, I want them working on it. And we want to support you, cheer you on. So, Aaron, tell them how they can reach us. Let us know what's going on. Send us questions, comments, etc.
Yeah, definitely. You can find us on Facebook and on Instagram at Come With Us Podcast. We are there. You can message us questions, comments, concerns, anything that pops into your mind. You can find us on Twitter at Come With Us Pod. You can do the same thing there. DMs are open. You can email us. Anything that's on your mind about the podcast, the sexy, all of it, questions, comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts right now,
yes,
rate us 5 stars, leave a review, tell your friends about us, share it. If you're following us on Instagram or Facebook and it's a topic or an episode that you like, go and share it on your timeline and make maybe hopefully inspire one of your friends that needs it to find, or even if they don't need it, if they're just curious. Because come on, the more we talk about sexy stuff, the more we enjoy it, the more turned on we get, the better our sexy is. It's just good for all of us. So please start talking. Plus, I really, really, really want to start our world tour, and that means we need a few more listeners and a few more reviews. Okay, lots of more listeners and lots more reviews, but help us out, because we want to come to a city near you, and so we can all come with us.
And then we want to come in your city.
We want to come in your city, yes, over and over and over, yes. All right. So thank y'all so much. This has been so much fun, and don't forget to check out sexyedschool.com for cunnilingus, fellatio, prostate stuff, whatever you've got. Also, by the way, I've got YouTube, Darling Way and Beth Darling YouTube. So if you want to go see some videos, go check those out. But stay involved. Oh, and also go to sexyedschool.com, sign up for our newsletter, because you get a free erotic story, and then you'll always stay up to date with what we're doing. So, all right. I am Beth Darling, your sexy genius, here with Aaron and Tina. Thanks for joining us for the podcast you want and need when you want the bare naked truth about love, sex, and relationships. We are the deep dive into everything from dating, squirting, kinky to furry, love, and heartbreak. Big hugs and kisses.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Come With Us podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at Come With Us Podcast, and send in your questions, comments, and confessions to comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. Until next time, keep it fun, flirty, and naughty.